Greg Kelly. The latest breaking news and opinions. Entertaining and informative.
Well, literally breaking news. This is a new plan. Joe Biden will speak to the nation at 7:30 p.m. to talk about gun violence. Does he want to make the problem worse or better? If he wants to make it better, he should cancel that speech right now. Every time he opens his mouth, he gets into some sort of trouble. He contradicts himself. He makes a mistake. His staff has to walk it back. But tonight will be very, very different. It'll be very controlled. It'll be him at a podium and teleprompter, no reporters in the room. Maybe it'll even be in the Oval Office. Who knows? But no questions whatsoever. It'll probably start at 7:30 on the dot, which is good news for me. I might be able to worm my way out of the TV show tonight. I love doing it, but I could use a break. I'll have to do a short show probably, and then we'll let the president speak all he wants. Again, I don't know what the hell he can say or will say. He's so selective about this. I wonder if he's going to mention Tulsa. Because in Tulsa, you heard about the mass shooting in Tulsa yesterday. It was in a hospital. A couple of doctors, emergency workers were killed. The shooter was upset about who knows what. I guess he was actually angry at the medical care he received, but he killed 4 people. And the shooter happens to be a black man, a dead black man, right? Was he killed? He was killed by he's dead now. Happens to be black. And it happens to me that little fact of the story has been omitted by all of the fake news. I saw all the reports, every single one. The shooter was a man. The shooter was a former patient. The shooter had a gun. The gun opened fire. Nothing about the ethnicity of the race of the shooter. Now, why is that important? Well, it seems to be exceedingly important if it's ever a white man, right? We got this monster clip. I'm going to play it tonight on Newsmax if I have time, of every time it's a white shooter, how kind of irate they are about his race. You should hear, especially Gayle King. She's so bent out of shape. And here we have a white man, and the police let him live, and I don't believe they did that. They're treating him like a human being, and you got to hear it. You're going to love it. So tonight at 7:30, the president speaks. In the meantime, why do we care? Does anybody care about the Queen and her silly Jubilee, the Queen of England? Now, Jubilee, the only Jubilee I know is the one you get at Friendly's Ice Cream, right? Jubilee, it's like an ice cream sundae. It's like an advanced ice cream sundae. I know Jubilee in the context of ice cream. Now, Jubilee, though, in this use means the 70th anniversary of the time 70th anniversary of her coronation. All right, good for her. But all day long, all the morning shows, who cares? I got to point it out. Let's face it, the Queen, well, I mean, what a scam the whole thing is, right? The royal family. I mean, no wonder why we bolted and made our own country, which, by the way, kicks ass and can beat Britain in a war in about 10 minutes. But the Queen, what has she ever done, really? What has she ever contributed? The only thing, well, I hate to bring it up, but she was awfully mean to Princess Diana. We all saw it. Princess Diana was miserable, and the Queen did not help that situation. The Queen was a snob, very condescending, made her feel very, very bad about herself. Diana was so upset she'd go to the refrigerator and eat entire pumpkin pies, and then she was bulimic. That's how sad she was. And I still think that Diana would be alive if the Queen had treated her better. Anyway, look, we all make mistakes. I bet the Queen is sorry about that. And I'll say this for the Queen. She was very, very nice to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was very, very nice to her. Now, the year Donald Trump got a television set, I think it was 70 years ago, the Trump family got a TV just to watch the coronation. And it was one of the first major live events on television like that. And what was her name? Mary McLeod, Donald Trump's mother, was mesmerized and a big fan of the Queen. She was a native of Scotland, and she watched this thing. And the coronation wasn't just a 2 hours and they were done. It was like a 4 or 5 day extravaganza. And Donald Trump remembers vividly how in awe her mother was. And I'm told that that's one of the first things Trump ever said to the Queen. And you can see it. There are pictures. I got one up on my Twitter, at Greg Kelly USA, of Donald Trump and the Queen, and they're genuinely enjoying each other's company. Now, meanwhile, enter Joe Biden. And what does Joe Biden say to her? You know, you remind me of my mother. Now, I don't care how old you are, it was, and she's too close in age to Joe Biden to say, you remind me of my mother. I mean, I'm not the most gallant guy around, but that's something I would never do. And Joe, there he is, 80, calling the 90. How old is she anyway? 95? No, she's not old enough to be your mother, Joe. And he said that. I'll play that tonight, too. He just never knows what to say. He's always saying the wrong thing. So there's that. Let's see here. Ooh, I did a really nice expose on Al Sharpton. Just a reminder that Al Sharpton, who is one of the most famous men in America right now, he is. And you know what? He's getting richer and richer and richer, flying off in private jets to deliver eulogies for people he's never met. It's crazy. But I just want you to remember who this guy is and where he came from, okay? Here's Al Sharpton in 1992. Listen up. Cut 43.
I leave it off in the pig. Well, they got pigs out here. You ain't off one of them. What I believe in, I do what you believe in. Or shut up and admit you lost your courage and your guts to stand up.
I would love to use love, but if I've got to use hate, I'll deal with what my hand calls for.
The first thing he said, do you have the guts to off pigs? Now, I've never heard him repudiate any of this stuff, any of this crazy stuff, and his total and complete embrace of the Tawana Brawley hoax, which we now know beyond the shadow of a doubt was a total hoax. Back then, Democrats weren't afraid to stand up to a guy like Al Sharpton. You know who did? It was great. Attorney General Robert Abrams. Do you remember that? We used to have these giants who held these offices. Robert Abrams. He's now in his late 80s. He's still alive. But he was a great attorney general, and he did an amazing report proving that Tawana Brawley was lying. Remember? She said she was raped by a bunch of cops, and they smeared her with excrement. Excuse me. Well, they found out the excrement came from her own dog. All right? The whole damn thing was, they actually analyzed the DNA. The DNA they found in the excrement is crazy. But here's a little bit of Al Sharpton running around town exploiting Tawana Brawley, cut 44.
Led by Reverend Al Sharpton, her lawyers, Alton Maddox and C. Vernon Mason, charged police and even the governor with a cover-up. They told Tawana and her family not to talk to anyone.
Sharpton appeared in Manhattan criminal court and, with lawyer Alton Maddox at his side, heard the charges against him. They stem from Sharpton's national youth movement and his handling of its finances. The state says it investigated for 2 years.
And the Reverend Sharpton was blamed for irresponsibly exploiting Tawana Brawley to promote himself. Since the Brawley affair, Al Sharpton has been noisily...
I don't even know who you are, and I'm talking to you.
And that's what people can't forget. They believe that Sharpton exploited...
Yeah. It's a little cut up. It's a bunch of old clips strung together. And now Al Sharpton goes on television, and this is the type of stuff they ask him. Listen to this. This is Willie Geist, who's got to be the most pompous guy I've ever seen on television. Willie Geist, he can't stop talking. Wait, where is this thing? He says, Rev, hey, Rev, I got a question for you. And this is how they ask questions on MSNBC. You ready? Cut 41.
Rev, we're looking at one poll now that shows 81% of Americans support expanded background checks. Another poll from Politico last week had it at 88%. 84% supported the country for red flag laws. That's not just Democrats. That's not just progressives. That's gun owners, as Mara said. That's Republicans. It's conservatives as well. So that's the frustration you see. And we have heard it from President Biden, but we heard from people like Senator Murphy, who has made this a central issue in his political career, gun safety, that there's so much more that could be done, and yet here we are sort of at the table looking at scraps.
What the hell is he talking about? Shut up 10 minutes ago. On and on and on and on and on. And nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. Now, before I got totally confused and started to tune him out, He said Americans are for red flag laws and enhanced background checks. Okay, fine. Maybe he should point out that none of that would have stopped the shooter in Texas, who had no criminal record, who had never committed to a mental health institution. Nothing like that. Wouldn't have stopped that. But again, it gives them something to talk about and it gives legislators something to do. All right? And let's see here. And then, this is a curious question to ask Al Sharpton as he's about to go off to a funeral. Cut 45.
As you sat here last week on the set, we were talking about 10-year-olds being murdered in their fourth grade classroom, and you were flying out to give a eulogy for an 86-year-old grandmother who was killed in the aisle of a grocery store. What's it like to be in that church trying to soothe the family in a moment like that when their grandmother has been shot senselessly while shopping for groceries?
The real question for Al Sharpton is, what is it like to deliver a eulogy at a funeral for a woman you don't know and never met? You never met her. You don't know anything about her, yet you're coming in to do the eulogy. Why is that? Because it's a financial shakedown. Oh, yeah. He and his wingman, Ben Crump, they've become rich and famous. There is so much money to be made, so much power that Democrats think they can extract in these kinds of situations. You know, George Floyd kind of changed the game. And George Floyd, how much money did they get? I think it was $50 million, the family. Now, in wrongful death suits, it happens. And what they do is they estimate, okay, how much would this guy have made in his life? And then they add on a bit in punitive damages and whatnot. If you or I die and our families sue, wrongful death, they ain't getting $50 million. And then, no. So it was they totally broke the system. How does it make us feel? Joe Biden tonight at 7:30. I am not in the mood. Especially when he lies like crazy and always gets it wrong. Now here he's either lying or if he's telling the truth, he's just totally not on top of things. You know the baby formula shortage, right? Babies don't have formula. Joe Biden says, don't ask me, cut 48.
Why didn't you act sooner? Well, I don't think anyone anticipated the impact of the shutdown of one facility in the Abbott facility. And it was accurately shut down because the formula was questioned in terms of its purity. And so once we learned of the extent of it and how broad it was, we kicked everything into gear. And I think we're on the way to be able to completely solve the problem. But
did the CEOs just tell you that they understood it would have a very big impact?
They did, but I didn't.
The CEOs, they were talking about it amongst themselves. They did, but I didn't. He's either lying or clueless. Maybe both. I'll be right back.